Howdy, Beefalo Bart here, and welcome. Alright, so, Minecraft and Unreal Engine 4. Why? Well, what if you want to create a map that's inspired by Minecraft for your first-person shooter, third-person shooter, ninth-person shooter, or whatever, and you just want to pull that theme in, or you just want to try to recreate Minecraft if you wanted to. There are plugins out there that allow you to create voxel worlds. I'm sure you could make it all work. Now, the scale that I've set these blocks to is 100 by 100 by 100, and it may be a little bit big for our character, but it just seemed like a good logical starting point to work with. Oh, and the TNT, if you get too close to it for right now, I don't have a particle effect on it, but you could also trigger it by looking at it and shooting it, but would want to add a particle effect to it. So the buildings, stairs, and the different blocks with different materials. And I'll show you what I've done, and then I'll show you the basic principle on how I did it. It was a pain in the ass at first, but getting the audio files, because of the format that they're in from Minecraft, and these files came from Minecraft. If you have a registered copy of Minecraft, you can get these things and use them, but you wouldn't be able to sell this project because, you'd have to use like user-created texture packs for the skins, just because the originals are copyright of Mojang, i.e. Soft. So what I've done is I've imported some textures that I've made and then created materials, and I don't have any normals and blah 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 blah, all the other stuff to do the materials correctly. But say if I want to create a single block like oak plank, I'll go to my materials that I've created for, there's the oak planks, create a box geometry, and as you can see, it's there. But if you want a single block, I've got them scaled to work just fine at 100. Now, I'm sure you could probably change that to be more suitable, but that's just what I chose. So, there's your Minecraft block. And if you want to actually create a single block, then you can actually take that and convert it to a static mesh. So let's grab that one. And this is going to be, let's go ahead and give it a name now. Block oak and planks. Now with that, all I got to do then is come down here to my brush settings, create static mesh, and tell it where I want to go. And we'll put it in my mesh folder, and we will just put SM underscore in front of it, so it's static mesh block oak planks, create static mesh. Go to my mesh folder, open it up, and the first thing I need to do is go to collision, add box simplified collision. That's going to put a collision box completely around the outside because it's a nice square box. If you want to be really cool, you can make your own custom blocks out of Blender or whatever else and add a little bevel to it. It would probably look better, but this is going to work just fine. Then we'll scroll down and change light map resolution to at least like 128 or 256 or whatever, and then light map coordinate index, change that to 1 and hit save. And now when we want to add that to our map, we can just add that in there. But as you can see, the pivot point's going to be wrong, so you're going to have to split the size and put it at 50. There is a way of changing that pivot point, but entirely up to you if you want to do it. What I'd like to do later on is create a blueprint system for placing blocks, so that, as you can see the grid that's on the floor here, I'd want them to snap to where if you had just the original grid floor down and you were looking at it, you would see that they would snap to that grid. That's just what I would want. That way, whenever you put another block down, it can only snap to the sides and adjacent blocks like that, or directly on top of. So if we wanted to add in another, Control-C, Control-V, pop another one in, you wouldn't have them offset like that. They would stack. Now, the stairs themselves, the way that I did them was essentially the same, but I created it so that it would actually have a collision on it that would allow you to walk up and down, because the fact that the blocks are scaled to 100 by 100, if you see we're going to hover in the air a little bit, it's kind of an unfortunate thing. But the problem that you're going to run into is if you just did a 45-degree angle collision on there, it's too steep for you to walk up unless you modified that aspect of the game, which is not hard to do either. But to get it to work so you can use it temporarily, that's fine. If you're going to scale your blocks down a little bit, that would be different also. You see the materials aren't lining up perfect, but they look good on this, but they just don't match up there for some reason. Then one of the things I also did was I created an outline for each of the blocks so that whenever you place them down, you would see the separation between. I'll show you how I did that, because I want to change the color of it on the grass, because you don't see enough separation. You don't see enough of a line to see that it's actually separate block from above. You don't want it to stand out too bad, but you want it to be a little bit more visible than that. So I'll just change the color of it. So if you've never done anything with Minecraft customizing or anything, and you don't know where the files are located, the text files are going to be a pain in the butt. So click on Start, and in your search right here, type in the % symbol, APPDATA, and then the other % signal, and that's going to show up your roaming and roaming Minecraft. Select that, and it's going to bring you to the core files here. And what you're going to look for is a JSON file. And we'll go to versions. The latest version's at 1.14.4. There's some pre-releases, but I'm not worried about those. Go in there, and you're going to have two files. The one that you want is going to be the executable jar file, and all you're going to do is I use WinRAR, and that to me works just fine. So I'm going to right click and open with, and make sure that you have this selected. If you don't know how to do that, then go learn how to use Windows. Sorry. So you open the WinRAR, and I'm using the free version, so I'm just going to close that. I should buy it. It's a great program. I've just been cheap and haven't done it yet. So inside here, you've got all the files you're going to need for right now. Go to Assets folder, Minecraft, and Textures. And you can take all of them out if you want to. I've got it all separated, but this is where the block folders are. All your acacia door and anvil and so forth. So this is all the little pieces, parts you're going to need. I've already got them out, so I don't need that folder. I extracted them to another folder, and what I've done is I've right click, view, extra large icons. Now I've also gone through, and there are some that are very tall vertical ones, and they're still really tiny. It's because they're 16 by 16 in file size. It's just not going to work for us to do anything with in UE4. See, like the Prismarine, this is one of the shorter ones, but some of them are like more than twice this size, like for the waterfall or waterfalling, or for the magma falling or whatever. So I just deleted those. I wasn't going to use them anyway, so I'm not really worried about it. There's another one here for the sea lantern. I'll probably take that one out, and I'll chop it out so that I get just what I need. But here's your slime block, your sea pickle. Some will be more usable or easier to set up. And here's our TNT block, which you have your top, your bottom, and your side. Stone bricks I've already done. I think what I'll do is, for an example, I'll probably do like the oak log. It's another common one that's used in villages and stuff like that. The railcart system would be interesting to work with, and using it to create a spline mesh actor and laying out a minecart track and then fixing it to where the minecart sticks to it and stays on it. So we'll scroll down and look for the oak. I mean, you can always do search right here and it would search for it. A redstone lamp, that won't be interesting to do. But I just want oak log top and oak log. There's two different pieces for it. So what I'll do is I'm using a program called GIMP. And what GIMP is, it's a free graphics program. And all I'm going to do is I'll right click and edit with GIMP. It's oak log top, and I need oak log edit with GIMP. Now they're already there. So, and there you can see they are freaking tiny. They're 16 by 16, and it's just not going to work. Now, if you're using GIMP, then you can actually go in here and go to Image, scroll down to Scale Image, and I'm going to change this to 320. And I've got the chain link right there, so I'm going to hit Tab. It'll automatically do the height by 320. And I want to change interpolation to none. Because what will happen is, if you've got it set to any of these right here, what will happen is it will try to smooth it as it brings it larger, and it won't look as good. So now I'm just going to go ahead and hit Scale. And there we go. Now, this may be okay, but I'm going to show you what I'll do also here. And I'm going to do the same thing here with Image and Scale Image, 320, and Scale. Now this one's pretty good. We can see a clear separation between the tops of the logs. Oh, undo. What did you do? What was that? Image. I don't know what the hell that was. Why the hell are you open? Cancel. Go away. So if we look at the log here, you lost your fucking mind. Thank you. Go. Cancel. Go the hell away. And I clicked there on the screen, and it's absolutely flipping out. All right, let me. This is what I created, was a simple border that's gray. I'm going to go ahead and Control-Shift-E, and I'm going to call this just untitled for right now. I'm going to save that. I'm going to close this program and reopen it because it apparently is having some issues. So I'll open GIMP back up. Now I don't have to manually open it. If I were to go in here and select Edit with GIMP, it would automatically open the program, which is kind of cool. So we'll do the same thing, edit with GIMP, and then we'll go back in and edit with GIMP. So now that we've got this one open, we can do the same thing we did before and go to Image, Scale Image, 320, and none on Quality Interpolation, Scale. Do the same thing here, Image, Scale Image, 320, Scale. Now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to hit Control-C to copy this. And I'm going to go in here to this one and Control-V to paste it in. And it pasted that little outline right there all the way around. Now what I can do here is, if I want to use the colors that are in here, let's scale this up to 200%. So I can actually pick one of the colors from here with my eyedropper, and we'll pick, you're relatively dark. And let's actually go with you and see how you look. And then I'll do the magic wand and click on the gray. Get my paint bucket, and there we go. And now we've added an appropriate color to match with the block to give a perimeter to the outside edge. And I'm going to Control-Shift-E, which is to export. I'm going to go to folder here, and this is going to be oak log, export, and export. Now I can do the same thing here since it's already in my clipboard. If I want to add that in there, I can just Control-V, and let's go ahead and scale up to 200% so we can take a look at it. Use our paint bucket since we already have the color selected, and then just click off of it with a regular box selection. So it's going to give a bit more of a defined edge so that when we place it into our map, we can actually see it. So Control-Shift-E, and I'm going to go back to here, put it in the folder that I wanted, oak log top, export, and these are being exported. They were PNG files, and I'm also exporting them as PNG files. So now what I want to do is go to my textures folder, and all I'm going to do is select them from here, oak log top, and then I'm just going to left click and drag them directly in. And now we have them. I'm going to right click and create material, and I'm going to drag that to my materials folder and move here and create materials. Now I am by no means an expert on materials. Let's do a save all. So we got oak log mat and oak log top here. So if I wanted to create a single block that was going to be for an oak log block, I'm going to go ahead and select the one that goes around the sides, which will be the oak log. Go to my box collision, or not box collision, the box geometry. And you can see we have a good clear separation there, but I'm going to go ahead and size it to 100 by 100 by 100, and of course half the Z height is going to be what we're putting in for our location height, and it's going to put it right on the ground. So now all I want to do was I'll go ahead and pick it up for now, is select the very top and oak log top, and then click there. Yeah, I'll do the same thing for the bottom. Now we have that. I can put that back at 50, and let's hit play and let's take a look at it. Material looks like crap because you know, you'd want to actually put more than just what I did in the material. It is 11 o'clock at night, and the son of a bitch next door is jacking up his freaking music. If you don't see any videos from me for a long time, it's because I went next door and shot the hell out of it, son of a bitch. So anyway, yeah. That's quickly how to do that. And if I wanted to do that, that's box brush 14. I can Control-C, Control-V, and add more blocks. Or what I can do, which hell I didn't have to delete it, is take that and manually select it here, and I can go back into my Z value, and I'm just going to go ahead and place it in the correct location that I want. Then I can rescale this. So if I want to have like 2 wide, then it would be 200. Very simple math. Even I can figure that out. If you wanted 3, then it's 300. And do 500. You can see when we do it like that, we can actually see a clear separation. So we can actually physically make that a freestanding block, and we've done it. And again, with our mesh that we created, like for our oak plank, if we want to do the same thing here, let's go back to this. I'll change this back to 100. And if I want to save this as an individual block, I'll just go to create static mesh and go to the appropriate folder. And we will call this our SM underscore oak underscore log. Click create static mesh. Double click on it. Collision, add box simplified collision. Scroll down, change this to 128 and 1. This area right here changed a little bit from 420 to 422. Normally when you're here, you can 1, 2, 3, 4, hit tab 4 times, and you're in the light map coordinates index box. If you're in 422, it's 3 times. So we'll hit save, and now we actually have a box that we can put into our world that is actually a Minecraft oak log. And I mean, if you wanted to add physics to them so you can knock it around, you just check these two. And yeah, be able to knock it around. You could add mass to it to make it harder to knock around, but entirely up to you. So with a TNT, meh. Didn't kill me. So it took 50 health off, and this one will take 50 and kill me. Oh no, I are dead. Alright, so that are that. Now, quick look at sound. You may have noticed the sounds that are there are sounds from Minecraft as well. So how did I get those sounds? Well, that too was a pain in the ass. Now I've created a queue because there's 4 explosion sounds. Now you can do basically the same method that I showed earlier for finding the files to actually get. There's also a download that I found on one of the Minecraft wiki sites that had a download of all of the Minecraft sounds for whatever the latest version is. So like liquid or item or fireworks. Now these are OGG files, and some of them just don't work with most playback programs. I'm using Winamp. I've been using Winamp for good God. Since Windows 95. I like Winamp. Let's see here. Random. And here was the explode files. Winamp. It kicks the llama's ass. Oh, whatever. So yeah, drink, eat. You got all the different sound files here. These are OGG files. You're not going to be able to use them correctly within UE4 because they're not appropriately supported sound files, and they just suck donkey nuts. So what I did was actually went to a website, did a quick Google search for OGG to Wave, and essentially all you have to do is pick out the sound file that you want. Let's see if this one even works. Yeah, that one won't even play on here. It may work when you convert it, but it's not working for preview. So I'm kind of sketchy on that. Alright, so we'll take that one, the little level up sound. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to drag that in from my file browser into here. And it will load. This is actually audio.online-convert.com convert to wave. It was one of the first ones that came up whenever I did a Google search for this. Now, once I've dropped it in there, it's there. You can see levelup.ogg, 15.43 kilobytes, and you can delete it if you want. You can put multiples in there if you want and have it download as one big zip file, but we're just doing one file here. Change bit resolution to 16-bit. That is the only thing I'm going to change, and then I'm going to go ahead and start conversion. As soon as it's done, conversion completed, download your file, and it automatically came up to download. And I'm going to select OK, and I've already got a folder set up there, and save. So I'll go back to that folder where it just saved to, and there it is. It is now a WAV file, and I'm going to go ahead and drag that into here. So now we can test it out. We'll do a save all, save selected, and if you want to make a sound cue for it, but there's only one sound file, or if you want to do an attenuation, that's entirely up to you. If you're doing a multiplayer game, I will at some point do an attenuation for it. If you want to create a sound attenuation, just go to sounds. After you right click, sound attenuation, and close. And I'm just going to change that to nothing. I'll just leave it the way it is. I may come back and change it later. Then I'll do level up, right click, create cue. So now we have a level up cue. Go into that. We now have the WAV file, and it's not going to be looping, so I don't need to check anything there. And then for the output, let's use the attenuation of close and save. We are done with that. So if you want to create a condition of, you get X number of points for doing whatever status, and you want to play the level up cue, you can go ahead and cue it to play that audio. I'll just assign it to the number 1 key for right now. Use number 1 key or F key or whatever, just for testing different little functions. So this one, all I'm going to do is, Pelican do this, get reference to our mesh. Let's get world location. No real reason to do this in single player, but yeah, just showing how you can do an audio file that would only be played close, or you can have it set up to where it only plays for the whoever it is, like the client. But we're just going to play sound at location, connect our location here to there, and we're going to use level up cue. So when I press the number 1 key, it's going to play that sound file. Yeah, that wouldn't get annoying really fast if you left that up to the player to sit there and spam the shit out of it. And there was much rejoicing. You can see I did bedrock. I did the stone blocks. I did stone, dirt, grass blocks. Of course, the oak planks, oak log, bricks, cobblestone, and TNT. Kill me. Thank you. Alright, so if you guys have any questions on that, we'll keep this video short. I just want to share how I did what I did to get what I got. And yeah, all those things. So if you're wanting to do that, like I said, if you want to create like buildings, there's a couple ways you can actually do it. If you're going to have it to where it's above ground, or a free mesh where you could stick it into the ground a little bit, or whatever else you wanted. One thing you can do is go to your materials. If you want to do cobblestone, or let's do oak planks, and we'll drag a box in here. A typical house that I build for just cheap, quick, easy, simple structure to get living in. Let's actually do it. Dirt. Start off with dirt, and I create a 5x5 interior. So you'd want it to be 700 by 700 by 400, and we're going to set this at 200. We're going to make it hollow, and wall thickness is going to be 200. Why would you want it 200? Because if you do it 100, it's 100 here and 100 here. If you did it at 100, it would be 50 here and 50 here. you could change the Z height to 500, and this will then be 250. This value is going to be half of what your Z height is here for your brush settings. And then just grab another one that's going to be the same material, and we will do it by 110 in the X, 100 in the Y, and we'll leave it 200 there. And we'll change this to subtractive. And we will just line it up so it looks like we actually have an entrance, and move it up. And then we can grab our stairs. So we can actually just walk right in. 90. And there we go. You just created a static mesh, simple, well, it's not a static mesh, but a very simple BSP geometry to create a nice house. If you wanted it to be where, what I've done over here was actually create the individual wall sections separately. So this vertical stack is of cobblestone. This is a vertical stack of cobblestone, 300 high by 100 by 100. And then the sides will be 700. By leaving your floor without any materials on it, you can use this as your ruler. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oops. I hurted myself. So I built the individual pieces separately, and then I built the roof separately out of oak planks. So if you didn't want to do it like this, where it was just a one-piece deal, then you could do each part separately. I don't know why I got rid of my stars, but you could actually do, let's do cobblestone walls, box, and we'll do 100 in the Y, and 300 this way. So we're 3 blocks high. And how long do we want to make it? We want to make it 700 and the X. And then we'll do Control C, Control V. Oh, actually, it's 300, so we need to make this 150. Then we can Control C, Control V. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that'll put it right there. You can go away. You and you. I want them to lock to there. So you can see we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 700. So when we put our other 2 walls in, we'll fill across the backside, and it would only be 500 in the y-axis. So we'll put another box down, and it will be 500 in the y, 100 in the x, and we said 300 in the z, and that would be 150. And just line it up. For the front, you know how we do. We do 2 blocks wide with a 1 block door and 2 blocks. So the next one would be 200 in the Y, 100 in the X, 300 in the Z, 150. Now, if you're doing your landscape material, you can actually use the grass top material as your actual regular. So you can actually put grass down. You could also use stone. You can use whatever you want, but you can use those to create your landscape material. So now we have our opening for our door. We want one block above it, so we have a capped out area. So we'll do 100, 100, 100. Why am I bothering to put it on the floor? So I can line it up with that. Then there we go. And then put our roof cap on, which we can actually do whatever we want. Put bedrock up there if you want. I'm actually going to do stone brick, just to be different than the other house that I've got built over there. But yeah, whatever. We can use the oak planks. Put another box in. Now we know that we want our Z height to be 100, but the rest can be 700. Because it's going to be our roof cap. All right. So now we have BSP geometry made. Yay, and there was much rejoicing. But wait, it's 300 by 300 on the inside. That's the wrong house, dumbass. Go to the right one. Here we go. So we got 5 by 5 on the interior, and we are good to go. Other things I'll do later on is if I want to continue with this theme, then I could actually convert that into a static mesh, and all I got to do is grab you, and you. Now, in theory, that's a lot. That's a lot of meshes. That's actually 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. But I can still come down here and in my brush settings, actually need to do it here and here. Now in my brush settings, I can actually create static mesh. Now, if you want to be even more creative and actually put windows in and that kind of junk, do what you want to do. I mean, I'm just showing you the basics here. Create static mesh. Go to my assets, mesh, and I'm just going to call this SM underscore 5x5 underscore house. Now, the problem runs into, well, first off, whatever I did it, let's actually Control Z so that we undo that, and I'm going to delete that. Now, look at where my my pivot point is. It's way up there. So what if I did here to here? Now it's there. What if I did here, here, here? See, what's happening is the last thing that I click on is where it's actually putting the pivot point. So that's something to consider when you're selecting that. Again, you can change that, but I'm not going to worry about it for now. And again, all we did was create static mesh, select a folder, mesh folder. We'll call this SM underscore 5x5 underscore house. Create. Now the next issue we're going to run into is collisions, because now that we've created this as a static mesh, it has 0 collisions to it whatsoever. So if we go into the static mesh itself, one of the things we definitely have to do is 128, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1. we'll save it on that. Another thing to get the collisions correct, you can see right now that the grid is right there. And it's such a pain in the ass. You show the pivot, it's actually way up here, and it's going to be a problem. But it's not something that I can fix right now. Not something I'm going to worry about. But collisions. If we add a box simplified collision to it, it's going to encompass the entire thing. And that's not going to allow us to walk in and out. So it kind of sucks. So I'm going to select that and go to scaling. And what you'll end up having to do is create multiple collisions. Really pale and hard to see. Let me turn off show pivot. So you can see the I don't know if you guys can see it or not. The light green colored box, that's actually my collision. I need to size it up to where it's going to be the thickness of my wall. Fortunately, there's no way of just typing in a value. And even worse is there is no copy and paste. So you'll spend a little bit of time creating your mesh or your individual what did you unselect? Your individual collisions. But it will be worth it in the long run if you want this to be a common used building. The cheat method I don't recommend using, but I'm going to do it just for the sake of it. But yeah, you'd build one here, you'd build another one here, and then you'd have to fill in this top portion, and then make sure your roof is covered. Yeah, it could be a pain in the ass to do that. So for right now, I'm just going to go collision. Well, there is a duplicate. How about that shit? Delete selected collision, and then I'm just going to, for the sake of things right now, not mention what I'm doing. So once you've got your collisions all set up, now you can actually place the mesh into your map wherever you want to, and you've got a prefabbed home that you can place in on your terrain. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope you know, if you're into wanting to create a Minecraft themed map, this is how you'd go about it. What I may do is fiddle around with this project and actually try a few other things, like replication on some things, like the placement of blocks. I'll figure out how to place the blocks the way that I want to. And the way that I want to place blocks is, if I put a block into the map, I want it to be the right height automatically, and I want it to snap to a grid. You can see we're on by 50s because my pivot point is in the center of my cube. So wherever I place it, I can't place another block halfway in between. So if I put a second block down, I can't put it here. It would only snap to, and it would detect other blocks close by, and it would snap to the nearest block next to it. So you have to place two blocks side by side, or on top of each other. So you can't just place them free floating in the air. Right now, with these blocks are set up, they have no collision. Well, they have collision to them, but they don't have physics to them, so you can't knock them around like this one is. So once you place them, that's fine. What I've done with the TNT was set it up to where whenever you trigger it, then just like in Minecraft, when you trigger TNT, it will actually then fall if there's nothing underneath it. So that's why I did it like that. I'd tweak that a bit more if I was really serious about that TNT block, but I'll see about doing block placement and replicating the block placement. I have done block placement stuff before. For right now, I am going to grab all these things and clean out my map. Goodbye. All my blocks are gone. So this is my test map, and if I'm not actually testing a feature or a function, I clear it off and I have a blank slate and easy to work with and place things down. Whenever I build something, I place it at 0, 0, 0 and go from there. So if I grab an oak plank, drop it in here, I can 0, 0, 0, and it's always going to be the center of my map, so I can actually then look at it, test it, see what I'm doing, and so forth. I'm not worried about a landscape on this one. If you wanted to create landscape materials, I've done other videos showing how to do that, but that would be cool to have your landscape materials set up with grass, dirt, and stone. That way, when you're creating stuff, you can actually go in there and modify it. If I was going to create divots and holes and stuff like that, I would just use the tool to lower the area with no real fall off. So it's a really, really steep, chopped out area, and then line the outside edge with BSP geometries so that it actually has the squared material that will then line up with everything else. So, all right, I want to thank everybody for watching, and I'm going to fiddle around with block placement. And if I come up with a good method to, well, the first starting method to actually place a block and make sure it's replicated, then I'll come back and do another video on that. And then whenever I figure out the snapping part, then I'll do another video on that. All right, guys and gals, thanks. We'll see you around.